Hey everybody, welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, on this beautiful Friday, March the 7th, right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios in Lubbock, Texas, and on the radio at 98.7 Walk by Faith, 1420 AM, 987radio.com. Thanks for joining us on this Friday night. Thanks for joining us out there in social media world, the internet, the entire planet is getting to hear, if you want to. At least we're accessible, right? We're accessible to the entire planet. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and thanks for the comments. And I got a comment last night that I'll get to that. They asked me about how much all these supplements cost that we talked about last night. So I will put all of them together, break them down, and I'll get that question answered here over the weekend probably. So yeah, we've had some good shows this week. We're talking about health. It was beautiful in Lubbock again today. It kind of goes off and on. We're kind of hemorrhaging out of winter, so it's supposed to be snowing tomorrow. That's great about Lubbock. That's what they say. If you don't like the weather, just hang around a minute; it'll change. So yeah, we've had wind and all that sort of thing, but we did have sunshine. We had blue skies today. It was beautiful, and it gives us that opportunity to get out there and start moving. Right, get out there and move our feet. Get out there and get some sunshine and get into spring. So that's what we tried to focus on this week on the show. I got some feedback that maybe we were a little bit too technical on Wednesday night, and so we're going to try to be simple tonight with what we're going to talk about. I want to take what we talked about with the supplements last night, because we talked about nutrition deficiencies. Right? We talked about what makes us sick. Brain imbalances, toxicities, deficiencies, and lack of exercise. Right? Those are some of the things that make us sick. Well, we talked about the deficiencies last night, and we went through all the supplements and recommended some supplements that anybody who wants longevity supplements, you can go back last night and check those out. Check out the show and listen to all the supplements that we went through. But tonight, I want to kind of show the toxicity part of it and maybe a little bit of the blood sugar part of it to just talk about food and what food is doing to us and what food is and what some of these terms mean. And, it's really hard when you're doing a show and you're talking to everybody on the planet, because there are some people who are really super advanced and they think this is very boring, right? They're like, I got all this. Why don't you get to something and teach me something, right? And I get that. And maybe we ought to have just one night that we just talk about super advanced stuff. But then we got another group. We got another group on the other end of it that I'm not sure exactly if it's possible to teach some of these concepts to some of those people. One of them is my wife. That's why I'm laughing. Is because she's got a little issue with her low back, and she does not understand the difference between flexion and extension, and so her leg hurts, and so she's got some radiating pain running down her leg. And they say your best patients are the people that come from the furthest distance. Okay, so the ones that are closest to you aren't necessarily your best patients, and I can attest to that. That is most likely true. But so I'm not going to get into her patient status, but I am going to say this. I just asked her, "Have you been in extension today?" And she's like, "I don't know." And I said, "Do you even know what that means?" And she said, "Not really." And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. I don't think she listens to the show. So that's a start. Maybe I could find the flexion extension part of lumbar spine and I could talk to her about that. But and if you ever get that concept, you'll pretty much eliminate any of your bulging discs that you have in your low back. If you just understand that concept. So there, she might be in that category of the people on the other end of the spectrum that you just can't. They're not going to listen to you anyway, or they can't get it. But then the rest of us are in the middle, right? And the rest of us are in the middle, and so I know sometimes the way that we talk about things on the show gets too complicated for some people. And I know that sometimes the way that we talk about things on the show is too simple for some people. And I'm sorry that I haven't figured out exactly how to solve that problem for everyone yet. But we're going to talk about some general ideas tonight of health from a standpoint of food and toxicities. And I wanted to start, the first thing I wanted to start with is something I think I showed you a while back, but and I don't know why. I don't know why that's showing up. But I read a book years ago. I can't remember exactly what year, but somewhere like maybe 2008-ish. I don't even know if there's a date on this year, on this book. 2012. 2012. I didn't remember what it was. And it's called The Power of Habit. And I don't know how to say the last name. Charles Duhigg, I think. Duhigg. It's The Power of Habit. And man, it is really interesting book. It'll tell you some stuff in that book that you did not know. Like one of the things is toothpaste. Like toothpaste was created by a marketing guy. And it says in the early 1900s, there's like less than 10% of the people had toothpaste in their cabinets at home. And after this guy showed up, they went to like 65% of people that had toothpaste. And it was all based on selling and marketing, not based on the science of whether or not toothpaste was good for you or it wasn't good for you. That's how we got it. Now, I don't know if it's changed since the early 1900s, but the concept is that Starbucks uses it, Olive Garden uses it, Red Lobster uses it. Like that's the same company. There's just, I mean, Febreze was the big one in the book. How Febreze was just about to go bankrupt, and they couldn't figure out because it didn't have any scent to it, and they were trying to sell it as a something that was very applicable to getting smells away. You know, it was just more of a scientific cleaner type thing, and it just bombed. And they just were about to lose the whole thing, and Febreze was about to go away forever. And they gave them one more try, and they said, "Hey, come back and try one this last time." And so they changed it, and they created a pattern of habit, and then they added the cue, they added the little scent, the little make it smell fresh, and then that fresh smell you got from the scent that they put in there, and then bam, all of a sudden it just went to $1 billion product, and that's what we have today. But it was really close to being eliminated because it wasn't doing anything for people because they didn't create a habit behind it, right? So I just thought about that when we were talking about, as we've been talking about, all right, you want to eat better. You want to try to eat better. You want to try to live better. And you've got some habits right now that are working against you. And so I wanted to show you what a habit, just like the fundamentals of a habit. And then I wanted to show you what you could do to change the habit. And then real quickly. So I'll switch these slides, and you guys on the radio are going to have to listen to us. But and this comes from The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg right here. And it basically is broken down into these 3 steps. Whenever you have developed a habit, or whenever you're trying to develop a new habit, these are the 3 steps that it goes through, okay? Number 1 is you have a cue of some kind. There's a stressor that is in your environment. There's something that triggers you. It's like the orange wrapper of a Reese's cup, the smell of something, the feel of a Starbucks coffee cup. Those are cues, right? Those are things that are built in to the habit that you see something, a blizzard, a DQ blizzard. You see the the cup, and you see the spoon, and you see the way that the ice cream's coming over the top. It's some sort of visual cue that you're getting right there. Okay, so you're gonna have a stimulus, a cue. That's going to be the first thing to the habit. The second thing is going to be the routine that follows that cue. Okay, so let's take the Reese's cup, for example. If you're addicted to Reese's cups and you see that orange packaging of that Reese's cup, and then you're walking through the grocery store, you see it, you're just like, oh man, I got to have one of those, right? So now my action step is I'm going to go buy a bag of Reese's cups. And so now I'm going to eat me a Reese's cup, and I'm going to get a reward. I'm going to end up with that serotonin reward on the other side of it. And that's pretty much how every single habit was built. The guy that did the toothpaste was really interesting because he got you to understand. He's like, have you ever licked your teeth? Like run your tongue across your teeth and you feel that little film that's on your teeth. You could do that? Yeah. That's what his cue was. He was like, look, whenever you sense that there's that little film across your teeth and you run your tongue across there, that's the cue. Okay? So now the routine was go in there and brush your teeth. And what we're going to do to make this even more rewarding is we're going to give you a little bit of mint. We're going to put some mint in that toothpaste so that it twangs your buds a little bit, kind of makes your tongue feel like you get that minty sensation, you get that minty clean feel once you've gotten that film off your teeth. And they're going to put some sodium lauryl sulfate in there or whatever that's called. And then that's what makes all things, shampoos and toothpaste and soaps, bubble up and foam up, right? Because then it's acting. It's working if it's bubbling up. And then you get the reward is you get that clean feeling across your teeth. Do you see how that works? Then you're going to get some serotonin from that because that's going to be neurochemistry that's working in your brain. Okay, what if we want to change the habit? What if we're so addicted to sugar that we don't want to be addicted to sugar anymore? We don't want to be addicted to Reese's peanut butter cups anymore, or Blizzards, or Starbucks, or whatever our thing might be. How can we break that habit? So what we want to do is we want to try to keep the cue and the reward the same. We just want to try to change the routine. We want to change the routine. So now, like, let's say that you're addicted to that, okay? My cue is maybe it's a hunger pain is a cue. Maybe it's a sensory type of feeling that I get. It's like whatever that thing might be. Maybe it's not necessarily visual, but maybe you feel hungry is your cue, or you feel like you're quite craving some sweets is your cue. Okay, if you can learn to change the action step, now you can switch it to let's say a piece of pineapple. Like if I'm gonna switch, can I switch it to a piece of pineapple? Or maybe I could switch it to a raspberry, which is even better than a piece of pineapple. Or I could switch it to a handful of almonds. And then I could get that action step going in something that's going to move me towards health instead of something that's going to move me away from health. And then I'll end up with that same serotonin, that same reward, right? If I ate a few raspberries, and then but I might have to downregulate because there's some dopamine going on in there too, right? There's that anticipation, and we've gotten so overstimulated with the Reese's that we need to try to dampen it back down. And it's about a 4-week process to do that. So that's we got to understand what we're trying to do. And one of the big things that they said in the book, it says you must believe change is possible. You must believe that you can go without having a Blizzard. You must believe that you can go without having a Reese's cup. And because you first you got to believe it, and that's and we know it. It goes back to our why and developing our 5P triangle and looking at our purpose and our philosophy and really trying to understand why we want to make that change. What change do you want to make in your health? Are you pre-diabetic? Are you diabetic already? Do you want to make those sort of change? Do you want to change your weight? Do you want to change your fitness? Do you want to change your blood pressure? Do you want to what is your thing that you want to change? And then now create this new cue, routine, rewards pathway, and you got a chance to change your habits. And I also think if you understand that this is exactly how all the food companies are using this technique to try to get you to eat their food. That's why all the colorful packaging is going on. That's why the texture of the packaging. That's why the way the chips, the bags are made. That all that stuff. The advertising, all of it that goes with it. So let's take that piece of information. Cue, routine, reward. What are we going to do, and how can we fix that? Right. So just have that as knowledge. You can use it how you want to. And then now let's talk about some different let's talk about some different toxins. Okay. So what is a toxin? First of all, let me open this one for you. Because we don't really understand necessarily what a toxin is. And Dr. Chestnut does a great job with it. And when he teaches it, if I can get it on here. All right, remember, any toxicity or deficiency in relation to the innate genetic environmental requirements. Now that gets complicated in the way that is said right there. Anything that's toxicity or deficiency in the relation to the innate genetic environmental requirements causes the body to enter the stress response and results in a lack of homeostasis or health. The stress response always results in an alarm reaction followed by an attempt to adapt, then eventual fatigue, then illness, and then death. That's the way it's going to go. It's going to go with an alarm first. Then you're going to have some sort of ability to try to adapt. Then you're going to go into fatigue. Then you go to illness, and then you go to death. Like that's one of the things that I missed this week with my guy in Littlefield that passed away on Tuesday. He's kept saying he was fatigued for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. He said he was fatigued, but he was moving, and I missed the cue there. I missed that what he was trying to tell me, because I've known him for so long that he does a lot of stuff, and sometimes he just gets tired. And he'll come in and he'll say, I'm tired. And then next week he'll come back and then everything's fine. And it's like we've been doing that for 10 or 12 years. So I didn't, but he moved houses and he moved his shop. And there was a bunch of tools. There was a bunch of stuff. He had a CNC machine and all kinds of stuff. There was a stuff that he was moving. And so he came in and he said, I'm tired and I'm sore. And I'm tired and I'm sore. And I'm like, well, you got to get some rest, man. Are you just about done moving that shop? Are you guys finished moving? And so the point is the fatigue went to illness and death really quickly in this particular case. Like you can do it from a cell standpoint or you can do it from an entire body standpoint. So if a person is saying, or if you're a person that's saying, I'm tired all the time. I'm just tired. I'm tired in the afternoon. I'm tired. I just can't get enough sleep. I just can't. I'm always tired. I'm just tired. Well, you've already had an alarm. You've already tried to adapt and you're not able to adapt. So now you're going to go into that fatigue state. And the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to get sick and whatever the sickness might be. And then those cells are going to die. And if you put enough of those together, then the person's going to die, right? We can't adapt to the environment that's incongruent with our genome. Well, what we're trying to talk about is toxins. So our bodies stop expressing health when we are toxic or deficient. And that's what Dr. D'Onofrio was saying. Toxicities and deficiencies. Okay, that's what causes us to start to lose our health, are those two things. And I think Monday night or Tuesday, we got and we read Dr. Lipton, his statement about that. And it, it works perfectly. So I'll do it again right quick. Hang on. If I can figure out. One second. Man, I'll tell you what. There's so many, you try to just hit something quickly on technology and then it's not there. But Dr. Lipton's statement was so perfect for this. I can't figure out how to get to it. One second. There we go. I know, you're like, you should talk to us. Yeah, hang on. I'll tell you right here. All right. It's a biological imperative is what he was talking about, right? The biological imperative. It represents the drive to survive. When we start to feel that our life is threatened, we feel it in our gut first. The world in which we live we are not in harmony with the world in which we live, right? If we start to change and send our love out instead of receiving fear, it changes our chemistry. And that was the chemistry part. Chemistry released by the brain in fear shuts down the growth mechanism of the body to conserve energy. It shuts down the maintenance of the body and leads to disease and illness. That's what Dr. Lipton was saying. And that's the same exact thing that Dr. D'Onofrio was saying. And that's the same thing that I learned in chiropractic school, is that you get sick when you're toxic or deficient, because what is happening is your body is shutting down its maintenance and leads to that disease, because it goes into this conservation. It shrinks. And so these toxicities, they attack us. It's fear. The chemistry released by the brain in fear shuts down the growth. Well, all of a sudden, your body sees this some sort of toxic thing, and it becomes fearful. So what makes us toxic? Toxins are anything that increases the production of free radicals above the level produced by normal metabolism. And this is all Dr. Chestnut stuff, right? So we talked about liver function a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about fructose in the liver, and we talked about reactive oxygen species and how that whole thing overloads us. And yep, I thought I was going to bring that up real quick, but that's what we're looking for. A toxin increases free radicals, reactive oxygen species. Okay. Free radicals play an important role in a number of biological processes. Many of these are necessary for life, such as intracellular killing of bacteria by phagocytic cells, such as granulocytes and macrophages. Researchers have also implicated free radicals in certain cell signaling processes. This is dubbed redox signaling. Exposing oils to heat, light, and oxygen creates free radicals. So that's the thing. So what are some of the things in our environment that are toxic that we don't realize? Not just talking about fructose. Not just fructose, because that is a toxin. according to Dr. Lustig, it fits all the definition of a poison. So there's things in our environment, and these first two are right off the bat are things that people get very touchy about in West Texas, and I'm not trying to create problems. I'm just trying to say that that two of them, and you may have heard it because Robert Kennedy talks about it now, but two of them are atrazine and glyphosate, Roundup. Atrazine, the most commonly used pesticide in the United States. This comes from the Body Toxic, How the Hazardous Chemistry of Everyday Things Threaten Our Health and Well-Being by Nina Baker in 2008. So this is old stuff, relatively, right? The dirtiest five, atrazine. The most commonly used pesticide in the United States, primarily applied to corn, also applied to sugarcane, wheat, guava, macadamia nuts, Christmas trees, lawns, and golf courses, and cotton. Causes gonadal abnormalities, possible human carcinogen. Okay? So that's one thing. You got to watch out for the toxins that we put. Like if we're fixing to start spring, and this is a spring, we're going to get out in the yard and we're going to pull the weeds and we're going to get the, we're going to get the garden ready and we're going to do all the things that go along with spring. We got to watch out for these pesticides and these chemicals that we put, especially Roundup. We've got to be careful about putting that and getting that on ourselves because it will cause damage to our bodies. We got to take a break, so hang around with us. We'll be right back. We'll finish the toxins, and then we'll get into the glycemic index on the other side of the break. We'll give them a second to come back in before we get back. Let me see if there's anything I need to answer. One second, let me get this text answered. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, you start talking about some of that stuff, and I just believe in farmers. I believe that farmers they can fix it. And they know if you give them a task and you share with them what's going on, because I know most farmers that I know are family-oriented type people. They care about people. They care about their families. They care about their communities and all the rest of that stuff. And I think sometimes maybe they're just not. They don't get all the information about some of the things that they're doing. And if they knew that stuff, they would figure out a better way to solve the problem. And I think that this atrazine stuff, and I don't know anything about that. It's just the first one on the list. But I have been studying glyphosate here recently, and it is very disruptive to what's going on in the body. So you get it on you, you'll end up with bad health. And I've got a bunch of patients that have bad health, and I think part of it is to do with some of those chemicals right there that they've had in their environment over their lifetime. I was told be careful about bringing that up, but I want you to know it. I want you to know it so that maybe your grandkids don't get sick with that same thing. Maybe your kids can not get sick with that same thing. Hey, if you got any questions or comments, send them to me. Appreciate the comments we've been getting throughout the week. Except for the one guy who said the only reason he listened to the radio station is to listen to McDermott at large. Like I had anything to do with that. You guys don't even know what that means. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, and we're finishing up talking about toxins, and we're fixing to talk about glycemic index and some other things about food. So, okay, we talked about chemicals that are on plants. The next one is phthalates. And phthalates, it's what we get. It's what gives plastic its flexibility. It's found in soaps, shampoos, makeup, nail polish, um, polyvinyl chlorine plastics, lotions, deodorants, fragrances, vinyl flooring. Makes vinyl soft. Plastic bags, food containers, food packaging, inflatable toys, storage bags, shower curtains, air freshener. There's a lot of stuff. It's a male endocrine disruptor. It creates abdominal obesity, and it creates insulin resistance. So sippy cups for little kids. Got to watch out for water bottles that aren't handled properly or get too hot. The next one is bisphenol A, or BPA, found in plastics and the epoxy resin that lines most metal cans. Found in some dental sealants and in some number 7 plastics. Found 100% of household office dust. So it's an endocrine disruptor, a prostate and breast cancer, urogenital abnormalities in boys, reduces semen quality, early onset female puberty, type 2 diabetes, obesity, ADHD, and other neurobehavioral problems. The next one is a polybrominated diphenyl ether, PBDE. And this is one thing that you get from one serving per month of farmed salmon. You could get this from farmed raised salmon. So you want to eat, that's one of the reasons that you want to eat wild caught fish whenever you're eating any sort of, when you're buying your fish. You want to make sure that it's wild caught. Flame retardants found in furniture, upholstery, mattress, carpets, electronics, causes thyroid hormone disruption, permanent learning and memory impairments, reduces sperm quality, fetal malformations, behavioral changes, and hearing deficits. And the last one here is the perfluorinated chemicals. Resist grease, water stains, found in Teflon, Scotchgard, Stainmaster, Gore-Tex, found in fast food and other wrappers, especially microwave popcorn. Adversely affects babies, especially birth weight, causes obesity later in life, enlarges the liver, the thyroid, the cancer, and asthma. So I had this conversation with one of my nurses today because she takes care of sick people. I'll just put it that way. It doesn't matter where she takes care of them or how she takes care of them, but she does. And one of the things that she said it's so interesting how different the kids react to being sick, like respiratory problems. And you can have one child that comes into the hospital and they have a respiratory problem, and you just give them some IVs and then they're fine, and they just really got dehydrated. And then you fix that problem, and then they're just ready to go home. They don't really have any problem at all. And then another one, before you can even do anything, they're already intubating them. And it's like, it's so fast. And I said, yeah. I said, that's what I've really been trying to talk about on the show, is how much it's the host. The health of the host matters. And she's like, yeah, I really believe that, because I see that in the hospital all the time. It's the health of the person when they get the respiratory virus that determines their outcome, right? And when you start looking at toxicities like this, when you really start looking at all the different things that are out there, like how do you get away from all that stuff? Like soap, shampoo, makeup, nail polish, lotions, deodorant, fragrance, floral. There's so much of this stuff. Plastic bags, dental sealants, household and office dust. Like, how are we supposed to get away from that in West Texas, right? And found in furniture, upholstery, mattresses, carpet. Like, we're surrounded by toxins. And that's kind of the point I've been trying to make. Maybe I haven't done a super great job of doing it, but we're surrounded by toxins. And they're going to get us. They're going to get on us, and we're going to have to deal with them. So now, again, it says, what is the health of the host when this happens? Can you make yourself as healthy as possible so that you don't have to deal with all of these toxins that are out there? I mean, you're going to have to deal with them, but maybe you can deal with them really. And another one that is this is organochlorines. And I'll talk about that just for a second because people don't really understand this one at all. It would be difficult to find in any industry that did not rely on at least one chlorine-containing chemical. Organochlorines are a family of compounds produced when chlorine gas reacts with organic carbon-containing matter. Organochlorines resist the natural process of degradation. Once they are introduced into the environment, organochlorines take decades to break down. Organochlorines dominate the list of persistent organic pollutants, which scientists have identified as some of the most toxic substances ever synthesized. Organochlorine pollutants taint even the most remote regions of the Arctic. Organochlorines are attracted to fatty tissue and magnify up the food chain at higher and higher concentrations in accumulation in the body fat of living organisms. Organochlorine pollutants are linked to an array of ill effects in animals and humans: cancer, damage to the central and peripheral nervous system, reproductive disorders, disruption of the immune system. Organochlorines include DDT, PCBs, many pesticides, and then the last one is Splenda. And that's one that we don't recognize. We don't recognize that Splenda is an organochlorine. It is a toxic, it has toxic effects. Now, what they say is Splenda is a non-calorie sweetener, and the reason they say that is because it doesn't get absorbed into the body. But the problem is when you take Splenda, some of it does get absorbed into your body, and it does create problems when it does get absorbed into your body. It's a small percentage, but if you think about how often we do that. So one of my good guys, he was we were talking about it this week. He said he got him a new drink because he quit drinking Cokes and everything a while back. But he said he got him a new drink, and he looked through it and he said it's got sucralose in it. Is that? He's like, that's not good, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's what Splenda is. Splenda is sucralose, and that is an organochlorine that has links to cancer, damage of the central and peripheral nervous system. Damage to the central nervous system means like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease and dementia. I just did a dementia patient today. He could not remember what he had for breakfast. He could not remember. He was trying to tell me what he had for breakfast, but he could not describe it. He did not have the words to describe. He was trying to tell me that he had a bowl of oatmeal with a banana and some blueberries and strawberries, but he couldn't remember what a banana was. Now, it doesn't matter until it matters, and then when it matters, it really matters a lot. That's health, right? So these things that we're working on that don't matter, it doesn't make any difference until you get sick, and then when you get sick, it's like, holy crap, why did I get sick? Right? So I would just present for your consideration, if you're interested in health, that you want to stay away from Splenda and you want to stay away from Sweet and Low. And we already talked about sugar, and aspartame is the blue one. It's not good. Don't cook with Splenda. Don't buy your drinks with sucralose in it if you want to stay healthier according to the Body Toxic. Okay, let's move and change directions a little bit, because I really do want to talk about this glycemic index and the glycemic load. And I just you can get it anywhere. I went to looking for it on Google, and I found it glycemicindex.net, glycemic-index.net. You can find it for yourself. It's right there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And let's just read what it says right off the bat. The glycemic index is a relative ranking of carbohydrate foods based on their effect on blood glucose levels. The higher the GI value, glycemic index, the greater the impact that food has on blood sugar levels. Understanding glycemic index can help you maintain healthy eating habits and maintain diabetes or prediabetes symptoms. Or Alzheimer's. Don't forget, Alzheimer's has and this Alzheimer's dementia thing is also type 3 diabetes. That's the thing. So what they do here is they get into, they show us a list of glycemic index foods. Okay? So we're going to start with the high ones and then we'll show you the low ones. Okay? So high glycemic index foods are those that cause a rapid increase in blood sugar levels. And we've covered it lots and lots of times on the show. But that's what that is. That's the high glycemic index foods are the ones that are going to make your blood sugar go up fast. And one of my conversations in the last 2 weeks was my joints hurt. All of my joints hurt. And I was like, all right, well, you're inflamed if your joints hurt. So what have you been doing? And so she was like, I said, what'd you have for breakfast? And she said, a cranberry orange muffin. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. We got to start right there. Like, what'd you have for supper last night? Chili. Okay, what'd you have with your chili? Because who eats chili by itself, right? Like, what did you have with your chili? I had saltine crackers. Okay, well, let's just look and see where do those things fit. Okay, these are high glycemic index and glycemic load foods right here. And it just starts off, a mixture of refined cereal with sugar has a glycemic load of 70. Air rice, analog of popcorn, has 85. I don't even know how to say some of these things. A bagel has 70. A baguette has 95. A baked potato is 95. This is a 100 scale right here, right? So we're talking about 100 scale. What is one of the things that's going to make your blood sugar go up really fast? A baked potato. Bakery products, when wheat, have a 90. Cooked beans are at 80. A beer has a 70. A biscuit is at 70. Boiled potatoes is at 70. And you get these high corn syrup, 115. So it's higher than that, the load. So we got the flavored rice, donuts, 75. So those are all high numbers. So let's look at what a low glycemic load food would be at. So now we're getting down, like an avocado is 10. So on one hand, we've got a bowl of cereal or we've got a biscuit that's up there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but then we can come over here and we can look at an avocado and it'll go to 10. And let's just kind of move down here some of these other things. An orange, 35. A peanut is low, but see, there's the tricky part with that. The peanut's got the omega-6. So you got to watch out with that too. And some of these fruits have a little bit more than berries, but we can come down and see like basil is 5. Any of your green leafy vegetables is going to be super low on the glycemic index. You'll get tired of chewing them before you cause any blood sugar problem. Eggplants at 20. Balsamic vinegar is at 5. See, a banana's at 48, and that's the same thing as a Snickers bar. What else we got here? See something that's low. Broccoli's 15. Brussels sprouts are 15. Cherries 25. Ham, sausage, sliced. Yeah, so your meats are just 0. You're not going to get any glycemic load because you're talking about carbohydrates. So this is what we're talking about here measures the impacts of carbohydrates on your blood sugar. So if you're going to have a sandwich, I heard Dr. Hyman say today that 2 teaspoons of sugar has less glycemic load than 2 pieces of wheat bread. And we think that we're doing ourselves good by having some wheat bread, but we're really not. We're causing ourselves all kinds of problems if we don't understand where those things fit. Let's look at the medium ones before we leave off this site right here. So foods with medium glycemic load, and we'll just get down here and see kind of what it says. But like bran bread is at 60, apricots are at 60, boiled sweet corn's at 60. These are medium ones right here. Condensed milk, corn chips is at 63, corn pasta is at 68, dried fruits at 60, grapes are at 56. So those are kind of your middle of the road. Honey's at 60, ice cream's at 62. yeah. And don't let them fool you on that right there. So those are glycemic loads. So what I'm saying there is ultra processed foods. Those things that are ultra-processed foods that we eat that we just need to stay away from. It's like, and if you look at it, you say, all right, well, I got, I can eat meat. I can eat meat and a salad for supper. Now, there's people all of a sudden, which I've never heard of in my whole life, but there's guys out there that all of a sudden are saying that salad plants are poison. They don't want you to eat them. I'm looking at people that have been on the planet for a long time, and you can look at the people that have been on the planet for a long time, and you can go to look at the people in the blue zones, Okinawa and Italy and those places. They eat plants. So I'm not sold on this concept that eating your green leafy vegetables is some sort of poison for you. There's the carnivore guys want to sell that really strong, but they're going to have to give me some more evidence than that. So you can eat meat and you can eat a salad. Now you got to watch out with your salad dressing as to what you have on there. And you got to watch out with your croutons and some of the other things. You don't want to put croutons on a salad. I know that's blasphemous, but you don't want to put croutons on a salad because then it's just adding that refined carbohydrate to this good food that we talked about. We talked about one of them last night, right? So you can eat your meat and you keep it very low. I talked about the creamy chicken earlier this week. The creamy chicken has the the chicken chunks and then the heavy cream and the cayenne pepper. It's delicious with mushrooms. That keeps the glycemic index very low. Tonight we're going to have a steak and a salad. We're not going to have a baked potato. When you have that baked potato with that steak, it changes all the dynamics of what's going on in your body. Because we just saw that the baked potato is high on the glycemic index. It's at 95. Baked potatoes are going to raise your blood sugar. And now you're going to eat all this protein and fat that's going at the same time, and you're going to have insulin show up. And when you combine those two things together, it's going to create problems in your body. It's not a great. It's a sales deal, and it's not a health thing. Okay, because ultra processed foods it's like they're bad, right? It's like we want to stay away from the ultra processed foods. And here's an article that talks about that. And this is the social, clinical, and policy implications of ultra-processed food addiction. This comes from the British Medical Journal, October 9th, 2023. Ultra-processed foods are a major source of refined carbohydrates and added fats in diets. With high levels of refined carbohydrates and fats are very accessible, convenient, and heavily marketed. Yale Food Addiction Scale assesses all 11 symptom criteria for substance use disorder, including diminished control over intake, cravings, withdrawal. And so this whole article is going to break down for us exactly. It's got all kinds of studies, Refined carbohydrates or fats evoke similar levels of extracellular dopamine in the brain to those seen with addictive substances such as nicotine and alcohol, right? That's that cue reward thing that we were going through a while ago. So we get this action step, right? Or routine, cue, routine, reward. That's what that refined carbohydrate will do to us, and it'll create problems for us. So we want to make sure that we understand that. Natural or minimally processed food typically contain either carbohydrates, fat. They rarely contain both. You're not When you eat the steak, you don't get any carbohydrates. When you eat the salad, you don't get any fat. It's like unless you put it on there in your dressing or something like that, right? When you eat um, your vegetables, you're not getting a lot of that fat that's going along with your vegetables. Those things don't usually go together. And they're using apples right here. 100 grams of apples has 55 kilocalories from carbohydrates and 1.5 from fat. 100 grams of salmon has 0 kilocalories from carbohydrates and 73 from fat. So that's right. If you eat the fruit, you get the carbohydrate. If you eat the meat, then you get the fat or the protein. But you don't get them both together. And that's one of the things that you can do to control the way that your body is functioning. So I wanted to share one more thing with you before we get done tonight. And I want to share this. And if you guys are listening to the show, I want to share this 7-day food diary with you. And because if you don't know what you're eating and you're not 100% sure what you're eating, if you want to do a 7-day food diary for you guys that are listening to my show, if you want to do a 7-day food diary and send it to me, I'll grade it and then I'll call you and we can talk about what you're eating. Okay? And so you just take a piece of paper and you just put on it breakfast, lunch, and supper, and then you're going to put like the different things that you eat: meat and dairy, fruits and vegetables, bread, cereal, and grains, fats like your butter, margarine, oil, whatever you eat, candy, sweets, and junk food, what you drink. That's super important right there, what you drink. And then a snack. And then what time did you have that snack? And just do that put that in for 7 straight days. We've got the forms here at the office. We have a 7-day food diary that we have here at the office. And be very honest with yourself if you're interested in doing that. Just be very honest. And you can do it for yourself and not even send it to me. I mean, that's fair. You could text it to me if you want once you're finished with it. But if you do a 7-day food diary, each day record all the items you eat and drink. When you have completed this form, return it to the office so we can set up your nutritional consultation. That's what it says on the top of ours. Just write it down. Write down what you eat. All of those different things. Write down what you have. It doesn't have to be in ounces and all that. If you had a bowl of cereal for breakfast, just say I had a bowl of Frosted Flakes, or I had a cranberry orange muffin. And that's what I had. And then what'd you have to drink? I had coffee. What'd you put in your coffee? I put creamer and sugar. Okay, that's good enough. And then tell me what you ate for lunch. And when you do that, what's going to be super surprising is you're going to see it first. You're going to see that. You're going to be like, man, I'm really eating processed foods like all the time. Like constantly, I'm eating processed foods. And it's like, well, no wonder my body's not functioning the way it's supposed to function. Like, no wonder I'm having joint pain. And because I had crackers last night and I had a muffin this morning and I had bread for lunch and I had more sugar and then I had more sugar, right? Yeah, and don't drink your calories. If you can keep from drinking your calories, like that would be super great for you not to do. Like Cokes and all that stuff, sweet tea, just get away from sweet tea. If you have to use a sweetener, use stevia. But stay away from the rest of it at the moment. And it's okay just to drink water. You can just have some water. And if you want to make it exciting, squeeze a lime in it or something. Squeeze a lemon in it. Be careful with the lemon juice that comes in the little container, because I actually checked that out today, and that's not just straight lemon juice. That's got other stuff in it. So you have to kind of watch out for that. But if you want to do a 7-day food diary, fill it out, take a picture of it, text it to us, and we will. I'll grade it for you, and then I'll either call you or we'll set up a time and we can go over it, and then that way you can know what you're eating, and you can maybe make some better choices to control your blood sugar, to keep you away from toxins, and make your life better. Let me check this one little statement. Yeah, hey, Lewis, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing great. Hey, if you guys got any questions, comments, send me a text, send me a comment on social media. You can text us at 806-794-0400. I'd be glad to answer any of your text. And other than that, we got 20 seconds. I don't really have I don't have anything else. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's supposed to be cold in Lubbock tomorrow, I guess. So you guys bundle up, and then we should get out of this sooner than later. So you guys be good. We'll talk to you tomorrow.